Okay, I'm not going to waste much time here because I feel like I have a lot to say about Joker, so I'm going to start with the TLDR spoiler-free part and say it's okay to skip this movie. I'm not about to write a positive take on it. All this movie really has is a few great points of cinematography and an incredible performance by Joaquin Phoenix. If that's enough for you to see something, then go have fun. I will also say if you are a die-hard Batman and or Joker fan, then yeah, go see it because it's part of the mythos, but don't expect any fan service. In fact, you may want to lock up your pitchfork for your own safety on this one. That said, the rest of this review is going to be pretty spoiler heavy, so this is your warning. Brian, please throw up a warning graphic for all of our deaf fans. Thank you. This is the Baby Suck review of Joker. This is the story of when one bad day pushes a man into insanity. I'm not going to do a full deep dive of the movie, but for context, it starts off with Phoenix, here called Arthur, working as a clown for a clown agency in what appears to be a mid-80s Gotham City. This is a time of civil unrest, there's garbage strikes, typical Gotham, right? It follows Arthur as he rises to become the Joker. Arthur is just a lowly clown who wants to become a dancer. I'm sorry, that's a stand-up comedian. The film probably should have put more focus on that. Anyways, there's a problem. He has a condition where he has laughing fits uncontrollably. One night he's attempting to do stand-up and he has a laughing fit during his set. It prompts a famous Late Night with Retired Comedian show host to show the footage of it because everyone has a camera in their pocket in the 80s. Meanwhile, there's a subplot where Arthur has a girlfriend, except turns out no he didn't, he just imagined he had a girlfriend, adding nothing of substance to the film. Also, there's another subplot where Arthur hates Thomas Wayne, finds out Thomas Wayne might be his dad, goes to Thomas Wayne to find out if it's true. Thomas Wayne tells him to fuck off. Arthur continues to hate Thomas Wayne, adding nothing substance to the film. Also, another plot point between Arthur and his mother. Arthur lives with his old mother. She reflects some ideals Arthur doesn't. He kills his mother in a moment of stunted character growth, adding nothing of substance to the film. This movie ends with Arthur going on aforementioned late night show, giving some monologue about the subtext of the movie, and kills the host. Oh hey, but they got Robert De Niro for the host of the show, so that's cool, I guess. It's a shame the scene really didn't work because really, I enjoyed the cinematography of it. I thought it was exceptional. So yeah, that's a less than favorable take of what didn't work, but why didn't it work? Let's start with the plot. The plot is as follows. Arthur, who has had a bad life and is mentally disturbed, finds relief when he realizes he can stop giving a shit and just accept that bad things happen, which he does in the first act. So he decides if people wrong him, he'll just kill them. Here's the thing. Throughout the movie, Arthur never really outwardly blamed his problems on society, even though there are many points where society is giving him problems, like when the funding gets cut and he loses his therapist and medication. The most you get is him asking, hey, where do I get my medication now, and not getting an answer. Whereas, the subtext throughout the movie is that when enough people need help and don't get the support they need, bad things will happen. People will riot, and ultimately violence will ensue. This is portrayed by Arthur getting jumped by a few one-percenters, and Arthur shooting them down in the subway, which leads to a less fortunate people of Gotham using this as a rallying point to start a protest and essentially say, hey, we're gonna stick up for ourselves here. The thing is, this predominantly happens in the background as we follow Arthur. We follow Arthur through the subplots that largely go nowhere, as I mentioned earlier. In the movie, Arthur's mother swears that Thomas Wayne loved her and is going to take care of her. It's kind of a nagging point for a solid hour of the movie. Eventually, Arthur realizes he might be able to find the plot if he follows that road. Goes to Wayne Manor, meets Bruce Wayne. By the way, this movie makes a huge mockery of future Batman's detective abilities. Not just because of this scene, but also because literally everyone knows who the Joker is. More on that later. At Wayne Manor, a guy that might be inferred as Alfred turns Arthur away, saying that Arthur's mom was insane and that the Arthur was adopted. So the Joker goes to Arkham to get the medical papers on her, where he finds out that his mom and him were abused when he was young. It's to be inferred that this caused Arthur's laughing fits, and I guess that's why he decided to kill his mom. Honestly, it doesn't make that much sense why he decided to kill his mom. It doesn't really seem like she's to blame for anything, so I guess this is just another case of Arthur recklessly killing for the sake of recklessly killing. To wrap up the Thomas Wayne arc, Arthur goes to the theater and confronts Thomas Wayne, and he is told that he isn't Thomas Wayne's son from the man himself. When Arthur gets too close to Thomas Wayne punches him and tears him down, and that's it. But this is where I realized something. The Joker cannot kill Thomas and Martha Wayne. But the plot was built like he was the one who kills them. If that had come to pass, this movie would have made a lot more sense. Hell, it looked like the plot was designed completely around the notion of Joker killing Bruce and Martha Wayne. Then somebody stepped in and said, actually, you can't do that, because that didn't and will never have happened. And the production said, oh shit, well, I guess we'll fall back on the subtext of the film. Which means that this plot point, something that has been set up to be very important to the movie, went nowhere. He doesn't grow from this. He doesn't find some newfound hatred for society that he didn't already display earlier in the film. Before I get to the ending, I want to talk about Arthur's girlfriend. In the movie, he falls in love with his neighbor, what appears to be a single mom. They go out on 2 dates and show her being supportive of him. When it's revealed, he made it all up in his head. When he shows up in her apartment in the middle of the night, she has no idea why he's there. Now this does demonstrate that his mental state could be deteriorating, but it ends too abruptly to demonstrate what it meant for the film. After the neighbor asks what Arthur is doing there, it cuts to him sitting in his apartment, having a laughing fit as the police sirens and lights shine through the window. It can be inferred that he killed her, but even still, what does that do for the character? It doesn't accurately display if Arthur truly believed it or if he only fantasized about it. It's a shame too, because it could have at least helped the movie if they had made it clear that he believed she loved him, not just left it to the audience to decide, oh, I've seen this movie trope before, I know what's going on here. So that leaves us with the big finish. The Joker appears on the late night show with retired comedian. He shows up dressed up as a clown, which is a rallying point of all the civil unrest. Before the show, the host comes into the dressing room, asks him if he wants to talk about any of the politics, and he says, no, I don't know anything about that. Now, considering how much of the movie has been strictly about Arthur as a person and him focusing on his comedy career and not about him trying and failing to cope with the struggles that society has put on him, I believed that. Then Arthur goes on the show, confesses to murdering the 3 1%ers on the subway, and gives a speech about how in a society where people are mentally ill, if we don't take care of them, bad things happen, and shoots the host in the head. Do you see the problem here? The climax relied on moving the subtext to the forefront of the film, when largely that's not what the film was about. That's what the setting was about. Earlier I said that this film makes a mockery of the future Batman in this film's universe. This part of my diagnosis of this movie is more related to my inner Batman fan than anything, but I still feel it's important to be said. In this movie, everyone knows who the Joker is. The cops show up in his apartment many times looking for him. The movie is explicit about showing that there are documents tying him to his alias of Arthur Fleck, and he not only admits to the initial murders on live TV, but also commits murders on live TV. Everyone at the station knows his alias, but if there's one thing that really gets me, it's the scene at Wayne Manor's gates. Arthur shows up with no mask or makeup on, but even if Bruce is too young to remember him, surely the guy who works for Thomas Wayne and demonstrates that he has knowledge of the circumstances surrounding Arthur's mother would. This movie made the Joker's true identity notorious. When I say that, I mean to say he lived under the alias of Arthur Fleck so long that it doesn't matter what his birth name is, or any other name for that matter is. He is Arthur Fleck. This movie is slow, it doesn't really go anywhere, and it does a huge disservice to the characterization of the Joker, as well as a phenomenal actor portraying him. I can honestly say I had more fun watching Batman vs Superman because at least the action scenes were interesting. The only saving graces of this film are Phoenix's stellar acting ability and some of the fascinating cinematography. Don't waste your time on this one.